Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Here, let me turn off my echo real quick. All right, that's better. So let me fire up our cluster and then I want to recap last week's session. Okay. So, and just to emphasize, we're doing the credential pass-through cluster using the Databricks Runtime 7.0 beta with Spark 3. I have created a GitHub repo and it's public now. There's a video on how to connect. I'll do this later. There's a video on how to connect your Databricks workspace to GitHub. I'm going to do another video on how to deploy a workspace from a repo like this. So essentially all I showed is how to pull a workspace into a repo. We want to go the other direction. If you're logged in, so I'm the owner, but if you were logged in and went to this repo, you would be able to fork this and then you could modify the notebooks on your own, do whatever you need to do. So I think that'll be nice moving forward. But yeah, the one thing that you can't do from the repo is see the cluster configuration. So I wanted to go ahead and point that out in case anyone's doing that. So we'll go ahead and attach here and then also get episode 2 open. Okay. So last week we were looking primarily at the query zone. So we started with this raw data that we had ingested a couple weeks ago, and you can see each of these columns is really a nested dictionary or an array. I say dictionary or array because some of them, like I think over here is one. If you go into badges, you can see out here we have a map, but in here we have an array. You can see by the numerical indices there. And so those have to be handled differently. So what we did is created a flattening function down here, or actually we went ahead and moved it into our functions notebook. You'll see we have that flattening function, and so what that's going to let us do, and I want to go ahead and link this to Git. I had a funny feeling that it wasn't linked, so go ahead and save that, and go to push. That's one thing you have to remember is for each new notebook, you have to manually commit it and sync it. But so this is just recursively walking through our complex data types and flattening it out. So you can see, for instance, this little alias kind of gives us a hint what's going on. It's basically for every time it finds a nested index within our map, it's going to bring it up. And so if we had a map called badges and within there was a nested type called images, it would bring it up to badges underscore images. So that's what's going on there. So really we were just going through and making sure that badges came out flat, and then we're doing badges flat as a delta table. And so I'm going to go ahead and comment this out. But then once the cluster fires up, we should be good to run all of this. And we'll sort of look at what that result was. And we registered it as a table too. And so what we want to do is just keep walking through each of the other columns within the raw data up here. Oh, it's already rerunning. But anyway, so we'll be doing it for the other columns within the untapped table, and then that'll compromise our query zone or the silver zone, and then we'll be able to actually start writing views against that, and that'll be where it starts to get interesting. Okay, that's fine. I think we can add in a mode. Overwrite. And we could have done that in append too. Part of the issue is that we're doing this as one big pull from Untapped. We haven't set up the code yet to just get the changes. That's something we'll look into later and could probably be fixed by just streaming out of our raw zone tables. Since with the stream, you're automatically going to get that deduplication support. So really what we would do is just break it up further and then stream it in batches. But that's on my agenda for a future episode. Okay, and then that's fine. We can do create. I think that's it. There we go. That's kind of why I wanted to rerun this whole thing, just so that we can look at what we had last time, make sure it all still runs okay. And then okay, I don't think we need this anymore. Oh yeah, I remember what we were doing here. We were confirming that that the flattening functions were working with our array. Because originally I had done this by hand. If you go all the way back up here, where is it? Yeah, where I was doing the explodes and manual array access. So that all makes sense. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. Okay, so let's take the clean version of this and wrong button. Go ahead and link that. Oh, this one is linked. Yeah, that's kind of weird. That should be linked. Oh, 1 second. I think I see what it might be doing. Because we want it under here. There we go. Okay, cool. Okay. So now for 3, it's going to be largely similar. So I'm actually just going to start bringing some stuff over. Okay, and for this I'm going to make a little bit of a modification. So we've got our base query path to work with. And then so we did badges, so I'm going to do beer next. So let's go ahead and bring everything in. Okay. So this is going to give us our data frame to work with. Okay, and we're using, just want to make sure I see where we're bringing in flat and df there. Okay, and so then if we do so if we look at beer, we can see that it's a struct. And so this should be really easy to bring in. Let's see if that ends up being the case. Okay. So let's take a look at that. I think we're probably going to want to rename most of this. Yeah. So we'll do So we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and we'll do beer active. That's interesting. So I'll probably clean that up into a Boolean here in a second, actually, while we're in here. Beer name. Yeah, so that should be all of them. Oh, I didn't get the label. That's what it is. Okay, so that works. So then next, I think we want to do a where clause. So we can do dot where, or maybe it's when. Let me look. This velocity thing didn't go so well last time, but we'll see. Always optimistic. Okay, so if I go into okay, so when, come on. Yeah, so the way this works is you just provide a conditional, and then based off the flag, it can do one or two things. So you can say greater than 4, give it a 1. If it's less than 3, give it a -1, otherwise a 0, right? So what we're going to do for this active is make sure it's a false, and then we'll reprocess. So if we do so I need a quote. Okay, yeah, no quotes. Okay, so we want df so this isn't even going to be named yet, so we need to do df beer flat. And so the reason I couldn't do the win is because the df we were working with was the result of this, and so it didn't have a name yet. So this will work out fine. Oh, we need to import win as well. I think it's actually within a select, not within a drop. Yeah. So df dot, and we'll do a with column. So we'll do okay, let's see if we can do it like this. Get an actual bool in there. There we go. And then I think if we do a so I should be able to do a dot drop of active. We'll do df doing that. This is what happens when you switch keyboards between the weekend and the work week. Okay, perfect. That's some nice looking clean data. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and steal the Delta code from over here. Okay, and this is actually kind of at a point where we might want a utility for this, so I'm going to go ahead and do so. So we'll do. So we'll give it a name, we'll give it a path, and then we'll give it an overwrite. Well, and one thing I keep forgetting to do, but I really want to bring in is type hints for Python. And it's in a specific library, and I always forget. So we should be able to, yeah, from typing, import some of these. So we'll do over here. I think that's going to be Boolean. We'll see if it likes us. But basically this this is close to how Scala handles types. It's not enforced at compile time or anything, and like you can still just ignore your type hints. But it's best practices, and Python is moving towards a more strongly typed model, especially in 3.8. We'll see if I even. Yeah, that should be fine if it ever runs. And nothing else is running. Oh well. We'll keep writing this. So what we want is oh, and we need a df too. So that should be good, and then we'll want that, and then we can force this to be a data frame too. I think we can find what the name of it is. 1 second. I was about to be lazy and not do it, but I think it's in Spark. Yeah, spark.sql.dataframe. So if overwrite then we'll do this, And if for some reason and we want this to be path, and we want this to be df. And if for some reason we don't want to overwrite, we can let it fail. Okay. So we should be good here. Gotta love cats. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, we're back. And that was a really good cup of coffee too. And now my mouse pad is wet, but we will push through. Okay, so it doesn't like Boolean. I wonder if it's gonna like bool. Okay, why don't you like me? From typing, we can use any. I think this is a different class. No, I don't need to know how to use a Boolean. No. So this is an example. Oh, and you know, I always forget. I think we can just do the lowercase. So for objects, you have to type hint. I always forget that. Jesus. Okay. If I didn't tie my shoes every day. Who knows if I'd remember how to do that. String, then bool. That should be good. And then function has no attribute data frame. Okay. I'll figure that out later. str, duh. Okay, so now if we rerun this, okay, and we can do okay, and we want to pass in df beer flat and cleaned, and then the name is going to be beer, and then the path is going to be the, I tend to like this, especially when we don't have an IDE. And then this can be plus beer, so it's going to be slash beer. And then for overwrite, that equal to true. Oh, overwrite. Cool, and there's another delta table down. So let's do the same thing with brewery. So this is structs all the way down, but there's a lot of stuff in there. So let's see what we can do. Okay, and then Yeah, sometimes I hate this renaming convention. I'm just trying to think if there's a way I can loop through it. So this might work. Yeah, so we can do let's double check the syntax here before we dive in. Okay. 8 seconds. I do encourage you to buy a license. I'm not buying a license not because I don't want to support the guy. I am just lazy. So if we look, we can strip spaces, or we could strip specific characters. And so if we do the set of characters to be removed, so if we do that, I don't think it's going to work. But if we do so this would, let's print this. Yeah, so this is gonna get us the last thing in there that isn't brewer. And so if we look at, for instance, like this brewery location one where there's only one brewer, you'll see that it's always going to be the last one. So keep that in mind here. So we're going to do X. So I want the original name. So we want X, and then X dot split on underscore brewery. So that's going to get us that array, and then the index we want is going to be the length of whatever x dot split is. And this, we would probably do a little bit differently if this had to scale at all, but I think for what we're trying to do, this is going to be fine. And then, yeah, and then that gives us that, and then we want for x in and that should get us that. Well, let's try this. So if I do, oh, it needs a -1, duh. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we'll do names equal okay, and then what we can do is for we'll do cool. Oh, and then okay. Brewery. Well, that's an interesting one. Yeah, so why didn't that? Okay, so I think what I want to do instead is keep it simple. So and I like thinking in list comprehensions, but sometimes you just need to make your logic more explicit. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the splits, and that's going to be equal to call dot split. We'll do it on brewery. Underscore. And then we'll have name and then we'll have name is equal to splits length of splits -1. We'll print off the name location, brewery, city. Okay, that looks cleaner. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we'll have df brewery flattened is going to be equal to df brewery flattened with column renamed, and we'll have call, and then we'll have name. How about that? Cool. And so now we can have okay, beautiful. Okay, and then what's next? I think the rest of these are going to go pretty quick. Let's, fingers crossed. Come on. Okay, comments. So we are going to have an array in there, so that one will take one extra step, but let's do it. Okay, so we're going to have so it wants comments. That part's fine. Oh, yeah, okay. So this is where we might need to steal some code. Oh, I think we can just do it again. So it's going to want comments to be flattened out a little bit because of this items. So we'll do it like this. Come on. I swear the UI isn't normally this awful. I don't know what's going on today. Okay. So I need to select Okay. And so if we do an explode here, cool. So then we can do our flattened. Okay, still getting mad about something. 1 second. Oh, because of venue details. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Man. So I really want to modify that flattening function to try. So it's this bit right in here. If this equals to a struct. So I think there would be a way to integrate the explode part into it pretty easily. Let me, I guess, show why I think that's the case. So it's this little bit right here where it says the string object is not callable. I'm going to table comments for now. There's not that much comment data anyway. I mostly do untapped for myself. So let's grab media next instead. Give it a nice big to-do. So we want to do media.count and then df media.items. We want to explode this. Okay, and then we can do df media flattened, and that's going to be equal to flatten df of df media. Okay, that's unexpected. I need to look at brewery again to see why it likes that so much better, or why it's not grumpy. Select travel items. Yeah, I guess we can do it that way. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep moving. Like for comments, I'm gonna run that again so you can see. Like, I don't want to manually type all that, but for media, it's not going to be too big of a pain. So we can do an alias of count. And then we'll explode that out. And what was that? Oh, it's just called items. So I'll just call that photos. Okay, so then we can do we want to do .count, and then we want to do df media .photos .photo, and then dot. Okay, and then we'll do one more, and then this is going to be ID, and this is photos. Photo ID. And we can make this small. And then And medium. Yeah, and that should be good. Oh, okay. I think I see the problem here. I think we ran into this last time. There we go. Okay. So then if I... Okay. Still just so weird to me that this doesn't work. Oh well, we'll look into that sometime. For now, we can register that. Okay, so that works. And then let's see what's next. Okay, source. So we can do I'm just gonna steal this again. Oh, I don't want to do that. Source. Okay, so we should be able to flatten this out with the script. We'll see. It might, until I debug that string issue, it might not like us. But we can always try. Yep, sure enough. That's so odd. So we'll do this, and then yeah, okay. I'm going to hard cut these. Sorry, 1 second. I just got a message. Got to figure out what I'm eating for lunch. So, huge priority. Okay, so df source dot app name, and then we'll alias that with app name, and then we'll do the same thing, except we'll call this app website. Okay. Cool. So then we can do and then we'll have our name is just going to be source so that's registered. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try user. If our flattening function doesn't work, then I'll probably just call it a stream. But we might debug it a little bit. We'll see. I just want to make sure that I'm not going crazy here. It's just so odd. They both have nested structs and they have the same types, or a lot of the same types. Let's try. Let's try this. Because now I'm starting to get peeved with this piece of code. So nested df needs to be oh yeah, sure enough. Okay, so flat calls is going to be equal to this for C in she's not callable. Okay, so I think the issue is that it's finding a string at the top level. So if we, and this is just a guess, if we cut this, oh yeah, okay, I need to register that data frame. Right here. Yes, so if you look, the struct in this case, well, no, they both have structs first. Thought it might be that it was hitting the string first. Yeah, that's just so odd. Oh well, I'll dig into that next session, or else we'll just flatten this out by hand like we did some of the others. But we've got user source. Well, actually, I can just do this. So we've got beer, brewery, media, source, and untapped going. So that should be pretty helpful for everything we're trying to do. One thing I do want to make sure of that I think I forgot to do, and I'll make a note for next time, is we want to make sure that we so if I fold all these up, there's this check-in ID. And so like if I include this in the in here, see, it's going to fail out for the same reasons as before. So we'll have to figure out some way to integrate that key. But for now, we're in a pretty good spot with everything. Oh, now even that's not working. And it was earlier. Well, that's reassuring. Okay, we'll figure it out next time. But this is all going to be synced up to the GitHub repo. I'll go ahead and save it. So we're committed and synced. And then if I go over here, we'll see that we're good. Okay, so that's all for this time. Drop a comment in the chat if there's anything else you'd like to see in future episodes, or if you had any questions about what we covered today. I know all the stuff with that flattening function is kind of weird, but we'll get to the bottom of it and do an explainer. One of the other things I want to do is talk about how to use Databricks Connect to use a local IDE. That's going to make debugging a little bit simpler. So we'll look into that. Thanks for tuning in.